Welcome to PK Woodworking and to the run through of my new saw. I wanted to give you guys kind of the spec of what it is, how it works, ins and outs of it that I know so far, and all the different features that it has, and I'll try to do it as succinctly as I possibly can. The first thing is it's an SCM L'invincible, I guess that's how you say it, SI3. There are 3 machines in the L'Invincible line for table saws for SCM. There's the SIX, which means that it can tilt the blade both directions. There's an SI5, which is a bigger chassis that can take up to, I believe, an 18-inch blade. And then there's the SI3. All of them are available with the same exact feature sets. It's just the size of the chassis between the SI3 and the SI5. Because of the size of my shop and the fact that I didn't think I needed to cut anything deeper than 5.5 inches, I picked the SI3. This is it. It is a 11 horsepower machine, so 8 kilowatt main motor. It has a scoring motor on it also, which I believe is 2 horsepower. I'll put it on the screen if it's different than what I think it is. And then as far as the feature set that I picked, I'll talk about the options that I picked. Well, first of all, one of the options is a scoring motor. I guess you don't need to get a scoring motor on this machine if you don't want to. But this is the 2-axis controlled scoring motor with the lights in that red area that you can see next to the scoring motor. 2-axis means that it'll automatically raise itself when you select it, and then it moves itself back and forth into the line you picked to be with the saw blade. It does not automatically change the width of the blade. You need to do that manually with the blade. It also has what is called the full support. So that is this outrigger. So this machine is available with 3 different outriggers, and on those 3 outriggers you can get this cross-cut fence on it with the way that this is connected, which is like a quick connect, quick disconnect system that's built into it. But the full support comes with this and with this turret style based looking outrigger on it. A couple of other things. This comes, or mine comes with the regular outfeed table and the regular table for the rip side. You can order it with full cast iron options if you want. I don't think I needed that, so I didn't order that. It was a few $1,000s more to add that on. It automatically comes with this little bar right here, which some people call the butt bar or whatever, but it's to put behind you to move the fence back and forth, or move the slider back and forth. I should say that I have a 10.5 foot long, or a 3,200 millimeter slider is what I have with it. And then I ordered it with a support arm that I'll try to show you later, but it's a support arm that flips up that allows you to roll lumber up onto the saw by yourself. And I also ordered it with side table that goes right here, clips on right here, and a digital parallel fence guide that has not shown up yet. So when that comes, you'll probably see it hanging on the wall or on the machine when I use it. Let's get a little deeper into the guts of the saw. So first thing I'm going to do is bring you over and show you the screen. The screen of the saw is on a cantilevered and movable arm, and it twists. I mean, normally you'd probably have it farther back than I have it right here. It's got a light underneath it that comes on automatically when the saw starts. You can change the speed of the blade on this particular saw manually. It's got a space in the top that you remove a cover for that I'll show you in a second that lets you access and change the belt. It has 3 speeds, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000 RPM. It knows automatically what you've selected. Currently, right now, it shows what the width of the scoring blade is, and then it shows you the height and angle of the main blade. So right now I have the main blade at 0. If I want to move it higher, say I want to pick, I don't know, 2 inches, I would just put 2, start, and then hit the button, and the saw blade comes up. Same kind of happens with the parallel fence. So the parallel fence that's back there on the back side It's really long and really beefy, and it can be flipped down just like my last saw was when you want to get closer to the blade. But again, same thing, you would type in what you wanted to do. So say I wanted to type in 40 inches, and then you hit the blue button to activate it. And then it moves to 40 and it makes sure it's perfect. If you flip the fence down to the narrower side, it automatically compensates the width of the fence being moved. So now that it's moved down, you'll see it shows it's at 38,661. So it automatically tells you what that difference looks like. And if I move it back, it should go back right to it. And then we're right back at 40. Some other cool features that it has in it. So when you go through this bottom menu right here and you select this, this is an operation that you would pick. So you could pick an actual operation that you've stored in it and then go with it. You can have your programs, you can have assisted programs. So you want to do a hood, a frame with 5 sides, hexagon, pyramid, blah, blah, blah. And then anything that's already saved that you decided to do yourself, that you had specific numbers built into it. And then this is the blades. So I have my 4 different blades programmed into the saw. So it's important when you have a saw like this that compensates the distances for everything, that it knows how wide the kerf of the blade is and how wide the body of the blade is. So when you go into each one of these, you're actually going to say, hey, it's 0.14, actually it was in millimeters, it's all done, but it's 0.14 inches thick for the rip blade, and then it's 0.1 inches thick for the body of the blade for the rip blade. And then I tell it what its preset speed is, declare, I can even tell how many sharpening hours I want there to be on it before it tells me to sharpen it. It's crazy. And then same thing, if you go back to the sheet goods one, the cross cut one, and then also this is the blade for that came on the saw, I think, or that they calibrated it for, but I don't have that blade, so I don't know what they called it. They called it Llama 300, whatever that means. But it's got a rip, it actually doesn't have the rip blade on it right now. Right now, I think it has the cross cut blade on it. It's got that one on it right now. So anyway, you tell it what it has, and then it knows what's in it, and it picks that blade to compensate everything else off of. If you have any alarms on this machine, it automatically tells you. So if I click this button right here, it's going to tell me that I have an emergency button that's pressed, and then you can see it's got an emergency push button pressed, and then I need to reset it where it's at, and then reset the alarm there for the saw to work. If you change anything on the saw, like you do something with the blade, you try to change the blade, you open the hood, any of those things are automatically gonna give you an alarm that you would need to resolve before you could do anything with the saw. And then this gives you the statistics of the saw, like all the other alarms that's happened, when I moved the saw, everything that you can possibly think of about the saw. And then you have everything on here: calibration, user management, backups, the timer. So the timer tells you the machine has been on for a total of 39 hours, and the motor's been on for 1 hour and 30 minutes at this point in time. So the score has been on for only 25 seconds, basically for us to test it out a few different times. So that's kind of the whole situation of the machine, although most of the time you're going to be on this part of it. The frame refers to that particular full support frame that I talked about before. I'll get to that in a second, okay? What I did want to talk about was, you know, a lot of people that have these machines go back and forth between English measurements and millimeters. And the really cool thing about this machine is it's one button changes everything on the entire machine. So if I go from imperial to international and I click save, all of the dimensions immediately change to millimeters, including what's out here on the rigger. So I got a camera over there. I'm not sure if it caught it or not, but I'm gonna move this over here and show you one of them, and then I'll show it as it goes back and forth. So that should see 2 of the actual numbers. And when I switch right now from millimeters to inches, and I click save, immediately both of those are gonna go to inches. 7.697 inches, 39.889 inches. So really, really simple for this thing to work. You want to switch between measurements, super easy. Talk a little bit more about the Outrigger. So I'm going to start at the end and kind of work my way back. Outrigger itself is 110 kilograms and the fence is 28 kilograms. So 138 kilograms altogether, pretty damn close to 300 pounds. I'm pretty sure it includes this part here, but you know, in the measurement of what they picked, but let me show you this. So this is an extension that you can loosen up, comes all the way out here, and it's got a roller on the end to help you get wood on top of here again. This comes all the way out to where the Outrigger kind of ends with that final stop, unless you extend it. So I'll show that too as we go. Then the other part is, you know, you can adjust it to wherever you want, but there's a sweet spot. So like right here is kind of important. This bottom roller moves forward and backward for an important reason, because when you move this fence from here to the other position, you need the roller to go in that direction. I'll show you. So if you're gonna cut sheet goods, this is the traditional way you would have the fence. You'd have the fence this way, you'd have that air clamp there, you'd have an air clamp down at the backside, and you push that sheet of plywood up against it, clamp it, and you go. It gives you more space. If you're cutting solid wood, most people want you to do it with the fence in this position down here for a couple of reasons. But this is the cool part of it, is that when you just slide it down, it clicks back in, and again, it's perfect. It knows the position it's in. Well, now you're gonna wanna slide this forward so that it's kind of out of the way of, you know, where you're working down here when you're moving it. So the actual stop here on the Outrigger goes out quite a ways, but on my setup right now, because of my fact that I have such a small shop here, the farthest I can get this, and then I can back the slider in the opposite direction this way and make cross cuts, is pretty much around 132 inches is about as far as I can get in the configuration of my shop right now. Let's bring you over to these over here. This stop, I'll show you how the system works to lock it and then also do a micro adjustment. So if you take this little adjustment here and then you lock it, now this little micro adjuster lets you get, like, say I want to get exactly to 42 inches. Well, I was too far that way anyway, so let's do this over again. Get close to 42, and then I can get myself right down to 42 inches. And then this is the lock right there. And then if you see up here, the middle one is at 42. So it knows automatically I've moved it, it knows what I've done with it. So let's go a little deeper on this. I'm gonna move the fence back to the back again, just because it'll be easier to show all this. Again, it's one button. Press a button, it unlocks itself, then you slide it back, which makes it a lot easier when you don't have the thing unattached, but you slide it back to where it was, and then it just clicks in. Normally that easy, but I don't have it in the right position. There it is. There you go. So let's look at it in this position. So a couple of features down here. For this stuff, I wanted to lock in the slider and then show you what some of these things do. So this particular button right here allows me to slide the outrigger back and forth on the slider. So the first position it's in now lets me take it off of the slider if I wanted to. But if I move it to this position right here, and I have this locked like I do, this actually slides, I mean, it's a lot of weight, so it's a lot of weight, but the way it slides is almost like it's on ball bearings. It just moves so nicely, no crunching, no weird sounds, just moves really, really nice. And then when you like it where it's at, you could move it halfway down the slider if you wanted to, which is helpful in my shop because of space. Then you just move it down to the bottom one and lock it. Pretty simple. Now this one right here is what unlocks this part of the table to rotate. So now you can pick whatever degree you want to. So currently right now I'm at 17.1. Let's try to get it right to 18. Exactly. Let's see how good I can, too far. 18 degrees right there, locked in. So 18 here. And if you can see here, 18 degrees right there. Everything just kind of works that way. This will go to positive or negative 50 degrees. So all the way here to, do a 45, whatever you want. And then you can go back the other direction. So here's the thing. Let's go back to 0 and lock it. And again, this is showing at 42.001. And over here shows at 42.001. Now, if I move this to a different angle, so let's go again somewhere around, 15 degrees or so somewhere. There you go, 15.2 degrees. Now it shows that it's 45.926 inches from the blade. So it knows automatically where it's at, and also on the screen, 45.926. So this is constantly communicating back and forth this to the main body of the saw, actually via Bluetooth. So there's a Bluetooth receiver that's down here above the cabinet. I believe it's Bluetooth. It looks like it's Bluetooth. That communicates back and forth all these things so it knows exactly where all the stuff's at. And again, if I then unlock this and I go back to 0 degrees, I'm back at 42.000. It knows where it's at all the time. This piece right here is kind of a support bar, and this has two ways to adjust. I can't get to the other one here easily, so let me go around to do it. So this is adjustable to give you more support whichever direction you need it to be. You probably would normally need it down that direction if you're cutting a sheet good and you want to support it more widely than this is at. So right now, the way this currently works is that when you have this on, you have a total of about 24 inches that's fully supported, whether or not the fence is on the forward side or the back side, regardless of the angle that you pick. So the saws that are out there that have this kind of a feature, they call them either parallelogram ones. As the parallelogram, as you unlock it and the thing starts to parallelogram, the distance that's supported by something where the wood is shrinks as it moves. So the cool part about this one is that it's always this wide when you're cutting wood on it, and it's super, super accurate, as you guys could tell already. If you want to go the other direction, if you want to go past, so you go negative, you have to lift this little arm right here and then it goes the other direction. so that it does that. And again, it's very smooth and easy. And when you get back to 0, it locks. You give it a little push to make sure it's all the way, and there you go. So that's kind of the Outrigger. I wanted to show you a safety feature it has. So just for a couple of things, it has another E-stop here down below me. So if you're on this side of the saw, you still get an E-stop, and you still have another E-stop up here. But there's a fourth E-stop that's this little handle right here next to me. And the whole idea is if you're not paying attention and you move the rip fence toward you, it won't be able to pinch you because there's a little bar here that what your body would move against and you'd actually stop it. So I'm gonna move this thing to just 20 inches, and it probably wouldn't hit me at 20 inches, but just in case, I'm gonna hit the button, hit start, and then as it starts to come, I'm gonna rest my body up against here and you'll see. I hit this, alarm comes off, says parallel fence crushing micro switch. So thank God it didn't crush me. But there we go, it's reset again. And now it knows it stopped at 29.9, and if I hit the button again and start, it'll go back and do the whole 20. So there you go. Many saws have this, so it's not really a big deal, but these are the buttons to turn on the main blade, turn it off, and then turn on scoring from here. This is slightly different than it was on my Felder because you actually have to select something up here on the main screen to get these to function. So this little key that goes between the hand part and the key, this tells me which one I'm on. So in the moment the thing I'm in right now, these won't work. Only what works up here. When you flip this to this side, this is armed and would work. So you just got to kind of make a decision before you start your process of whatever you're doing. If you ever wanted to get the actual ripping fence mechanism out of the way completely, you don't need to do anything except for just make sure you're away from this wand, but you can just pick it up and it rotates up and out of the way if you needed to. I'm hoping you can see that. It's on these huge like bearings. And then when you want it to go back, you just lower it down. This has a laser that you use to rip with. So when you turn this on, I think you can probably see it right here. You can definitely see it behind on the back door back there. But when you're putting a piece of wood in here and you want to rip with it, and you kind of need to know how close you are to the line if you're trying to straight line rip something before I clamp them. Great feature. You back this slider all the way out and then you can see on the 10-foot piece of wood, you know, where that line's at. It's pretty simple to align. You know, it's got a couple of screws here and it just needs to be close, but right now it's right on and you can turn it on and off just by the switch that's right here. And they bury all the wiring up below it, so nothing's hanging out, nothing's down that's in your way. They kind of do the same thing with the dust collection arm here. The dust collection is actually in the arm as opposed to what it was with my last saw, which you had to basically clamp it on the outside of it. Also, it's got a little handle here that kind of, you know, loosens up or whatever, and then you can decide how low or how high you want this. You know, I think you can leave it like this and it's actually supposed to come up when you run something into it. I don't know, I haven't tried it, but maybe I will, because the farther this is down, and if something can come up and grab it, I mean, that definitely would be safer, and the dust collection would be fantastic too. So if you want to change the angle of the blade to, say, I don't know, let's say we want to go to 25 degrees. First thing it's going to do is say stop, and it won't let you go until you've changed this to the large hood. So let's do that. You just undo a little knob there. This pops out. Then this pops in. And there you go. So now with that on there, you confirm that the large hood's there, and now you can press the button and it'll do its thing. And then it compensates and turns the blade up to 2 inches again, so you get a full 2-inch cut. One more thing just to add in, like this, when the blade is lowering and moving, the saw is vibration free, which is different than I experienced in the past. But let's go back to 0 again, so you can see what it's gonna say. It lowers it back down, and then it's gonna move the angle. And then it wants you to put the narrow hood back in again. So, pretty cool. Hood mechanism is really intuitive, really works pretty cool, and fit and finish of all this stuff is just so nice. You know, what we haven't done is turn the saw on, so we probably ought to do that. So let's turn the saw on so you can see the dust collection is connected now to the saw, so it'll come on automatically after we start the saw. But you'll see this is the main blade. Dust collection comes on. And then you'll see the scoring. When I turn on the scoring, it's going to be hard to see. I'll try to get you a little closer. It moves over and then comes up, and the light stays on so you know not to put your hand there. And the light stays on until it's far enough below and parked, then it turns off. As you might have been able to tell, it's not a star delta start, so it starts right away. That may have been an option for the saw, but I'm not sure that it was, because we expected this to come with a transformer originally to go from 400 volts, to 240 volts. But halfway through the construction, they said that it actually was just going to come as a 240 volt 3-phase machine. So that's what it did. And I don't know if any of that has anything to do with why it doesn't have star delta start, but obviously it has no problem starting it up. The thing is a beast. So I'm going to move the hood out of the way for a second so I can show you the little port that you take off to change the belts. I guess I should show this too. This actually goes in either direction. It has a pin on the bottom that pulls out. It's all like spring loaded. And it lets you, because of these flanges right here in either direction, you can move this either direction. So I can move it that way. I don't know why you would move it that way, but if you come back to the middle, it'll pop up and register. And then if I pull it out again, then I can pull it out and move it out of the way, like so. This is the little port inside that you take out to change the blade speed. And it's made out of some kind of phenolic. It's pretty thick, and it has reinforcement put on it. It tells you a little sign what speed you should be at. And then if you look up here, there's an alarm. Fork group alarm, belt change guard is open. So as soon as you do that, it knows that that's open. I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm going to try to get you down in here to see what this looks like. So let's see if we can. Oh, there we go. So there's a kip lever right here that you would loosen to change it, and then you have the 3 different pulleys. The only place on the entire machine that had any surface rust on it whatsoever was this, and they just didn't want to put any grease on the belts surfaces, so I guess I understand that. I've run it at 3,000, I've run it at 4,000, I have not run it at 5,000. You need a bigger a smaller blade than that for me, so it's worn off any of the surface rust that was on any of those other two spaces, but you can see a little bit over here that's, you know, a place where there is no belt. The surface of the cast iron is really nice. I had to do a little bit of fun work with carbon method to get it to be nice, but it has like a section that's right here. It's the way that they machine them now, where this little spot right here is a little lower than the top piece, and they've used a fly cutter in between. It's really nice looking and obviously incredibly flat, and polishes up pretty nice with that carbon method. So it's got 3 different like zero clearance, I guess, I don't know what you want to call them, but phenolics that are here. One's obviously for, that goes here and has the LEDs embedded in them for the scoring blade. Now, this saw is capable of having a dado. So this saw can have a little over 3/4 inch dado put in it, and that would require removing this piece because the dado actually goes that direction, because obviously you can't be cutting into the slider. I'll kind of show you in a second what this looks like when the whole slider moves back when I open up the garage to do that. Wanted to show you from this side, so if you've moved the hood out of the way, like to get it back to where it is, you just grab it and it will lock itself as you come across. So really simple to do that. And then again, I just lower it back down so I can put it wherever I want. Now you'll see that you need to tell it that the alarm's reset for that, and you reset the alarm, and as long as that alarm is reset, you're good to go and you can start cutting and doing whatever you want to do again. You may have watched a video a little while ago. It may be up here or up here, I don't know, but I put max clamps on the saw and they're here working great, you know. They're run through the center of the slider, and a benefit to have on any one of these saws. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the saw, the garage door, excuse me. I'm going to open up the garage door, slide the slider out so we can look at the saw group that you can see inside here. It's a bit hot, sticky, and gross out here today, so I'm going to put this at the back side, slide this all the way out so you can kind of see what it looks like when it's slid out. The lock's here, it's already unlocked, so we're ready to go here. And that is it all the way open. So the first question someone's gonna say is, well, can you see the laser when it's bright outside and you have this thing all the way back? Can you? I can, it's right there, but it's definitely easier as you get closer to see it. But actually, normally I probably would never have it that far out. I would probably have it starting about right there. So my length would be down here at the end, would be way out here, would be like my longest, and it's easy to see even in the sunlight like that. So here's the saw body. This is slightly different than you might experience if you're a Felder person. The actual exhaust connects directly to the bottom of the output underneath the blade to not a hose, but a connection, and then the hose connects directly to that. In the Felder units, there's always a hose inside the body, a little challenging to replace after something happens to it. But this is a big, you know, piece of plastic right here, so you don't have to worry about something hitting it and like damaging it and you having to solve for it later. Okay, I hope this is a good view to give you. So you got these two little pieces right here that you pull out, and then that loosens up the cover, and then you'll see it has a tool-less change for the riving knife, easy to do. It also has a, well, you can't move it because it's locked. Hang on. So you can unlock the blade with the switch right there. Normally it's always locked. This has an easy lock system for the main blade. So you put a small hex bit in here, you loosen it up a little bit, and then it just turns and opens by hand and closes by hand. It's pretty simple to do. And then a traditional way of doing the scoring blade, it's just got you put in a hex bolt here, and then it's got a thing to change on the outside, so nothing exciting there. It's going to tell you that the blade guard is open. If you try to reset it, it's going to come right back and tell you it's still open. So if I close it and then I reset it, now it'll reset. I want to call out some fit and finish stuff. So you'll see, like, this machined surface right here is like perfectly machined. Same over here. That just assures that the trunnions, when they're put on, are like in really good condition, flat to whatever you're going to use it with. You'll notice that the saw body itself here, this is like 5/8 inch thick welded steel, like chassis. Like, this thing is mega. And then down in here, whether you can see it or not, got a very large screw to adjust for the tilt. And it's all got spaces telling you like where you should be putting some grease to deal with any of these things that they got going on. So like the thing is just so well put together. Yeah, I just figured I'd go around and give you an overall look of the fit and finish of the machine. So this is the backside with the arms, and then under the machine you can see all of the wiring is put inside tubing. It's actually not split loom, it's real tubing. Then everything is finished on it. The Outrigger arm is also on a linear guide. So it's different than normal ones that are normally on a roller system. There's actually a linear guide down there so that it can handle the weight of this thing. And then you'll just see it doesn't matter what you're looking at. Everything is really fully finished off. Doesn't matter really what it is. And then I'm going to show you that arm I was talking about. So this is one thing that I'm waiting for from them. This little arm right here, this pin, is what locks this arm in place. And this was shipped completely separate from the saw, and this pin got damaged and bent. So when you use this, it comes up, the pin engages, and then this particular thing is up in the air like this so that you can put a piece of wood up on it and roll it onto here without damaging the saw. And then when you don't want to use it, you just loosen the pin and it comes straight down. Now that's the electrics cabinet. And then this is what I believe is the Bluetooth receiver for the Outrigger. And then you'll see the rest of it. There's the drag chain, all the different sensors on it, and then yeah. Again, everything is just so overbuilt. Gonna give you some dimensions of this thing. First of all, the max it can do for the parallel fence, I wanna say it's 60 something inches, but if you go past it, it'll tell you. So let's clear it and we'll go 65. And then start. And it tells me the max it can do is 63.04 inches. So we'll say that that's where we wanna go. We're all the way at the end. So it can take way too much space on that side. But what that does let me do is use this like a very expensive Festool Capex, because you have the ability to knock down in my shop something that's 14 feet long pretty easily. On that side of the fence, again, I can cut 62. I can cut more if I move the fence out of the way, like I showed you guys previously. And then from the other side, this way over 132 inches from that direction. So that's why in my shop now, I no longer have my Capex in the shop. I've got it on like a rolling cart that if I need to use it for some molding or something somewhere else, I can do that with. So dimensions wise, like I said before, the slider's 10'5", 3,200 millimeters. So that's like the minimum distance you would have to have for the chassis to fit somewhere. From tip to tip, so from that wall all the way there, which I put the saw much closer than SCM probably wants me to have it to, all the way to the tip of this crosscut fence is 174 inches. So, Paul, that's massive. You're right, it's massive. There's one cool feature that I'm gonna do in the future, which is I'm going to make it so that I can lift the crosscut fence whenever I want to, straight up into the air with one of those inexpensive like little lifts that you can get from Harbor Freight or whatever. Lifting that off gives me about 20 more inches. And then if I rotate this outrigger to like say 30 degrees or whatever, then I get another foot almost, or maybe 6 inches more. So somewhere between 24 and 30 inches more clearance between this and my joiner planer combo. So if I need it for some reason to get a tool by or something like that. But you do need a way to get the fence off, because if you're gonna like do something with a large piece of a sheet good that you don't want to use the fence on, like say I need the entire 11 feet or 10 feet, there may be a reason why I don't want the fence there. What else did it come with? It came with a full-size grease gun and the grease that you'd use inside it to lubricate the rip fence or any of the other parts of the saw. It came with a zero clearance insert that I have not used yet because I really need to take some dimensioning off of this so that I can have this made for a couple of extra fronts of this. So basically it's two pieces, it bolts together here and this part hangs off the side. This is injection molded, and I know you can buy them from SCM. I have no idea what the price of it is, but I would like to see if I can get my dad to make some of these out of 3D printer. So there's that. They gave you a rip shoe, but I don't need a rip shoe. They gave me a miter gauge for it. I don't need a miter gauge for it because I've got this. And then they gave me a single hold down that I've replaced obviously with max clamps because they're way easier. And you do need kind of two of them. One of them is okay, but two of them is better. They gave me all the parts that you need to use for the Dado, and they gave me an extra riving knife also for smaller blades than this, and a few other parts and pieces. It came with gigantic manuals, a separate manual for the machine, about 150 pages, a separate manual for the screen, about 150 pages, well written in English, easy to understand. It also came with the full schematic of the whole machine. It came with a full parts schematic of how the machine's put together also. And then they gave it to you in a big plastic case, which I have no use for, so I'm not gonna keep that. It's just extra stuff to hold around. So yeah, I'm over the moon with it at this point. It's everything I expected it to be. Again, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I love my SCM machines, don't get me wrong, but I'm not paid or sponsored by them. So that's not how this worked out. They didn't give me the saw for free. I paid for the saw. I couldn't be happier with it. It's everything that they explained that it would be and probably more. I think some of the fit and finish things I hoped would be really great, but when you use it in person, it's just that good. So anyways, I highly recommend it. It's not cheap. It's definitely a luxury machine. They sell a class version of this that does not have this same outrigger. It has their other two versions of the outrigger that you can get with it, but the body and the chassis of the saw is very close to what this looks like, and you can get it with the same IS screen like this one has. It just doesn't have the really cool outrigger feature that this one has. I had a video a little while ago where I said, is there anything that I don't like about it? And no, there's at this point nothing that I don't like about it. There is a weird thing though. Like I said, the light that's underneath it, I don't think you can turn it off. I think it's just on when the machine's on. As you all know, I paid for it to be commissioned as part of it and delivered and set up. That was just included in the price that we agreed upon for the saw. And it was worth it for me because like most of the things on here are so heavy, I'd be afraid that I'd damage them if I was doing it myself. Plus it was just complex. And I got to ask lots of questions along the way to understand the machine better. What is left for SCM to do for me out of this saw? So I showed it to you earlier. There's a little pin that goes in that support arm that comes up that they've ordered the pin. Don't know when that's gonna get here. And then I have that support table that mounts onto the slider that has some scratches on it. I'll show you. So this is a support table that I think I'm gonna need to use with that digital parallel fence guide that's coming. And it got damaged. It was shipped separately on a separate pallet, and you can see the paint was scuffed off here and scuffed over here. I don't know if that they've decided what they're gonna do, if they're gonna replace it or they're just gonna get me some paint. I think I'd like them to replace it, but I'm not stuck either way, because I know that as soon as I rub some wood across this, even if it is this, I don't know if this is powder coated or painted, I can't really tell. I don't know how long this will stand up compared to, you know, how well, you know, this will stand, you know, the aluminum stands up. So, and then lastly, that parallel digital guide that's supposed to be coming any day now. I think it's supposed to show up here. So, and what it does is allow you to make a parallel cut on the slider by using the stop on the cross-cut fence and then the stop down at the end. You butt the piece of wood up to both sides and you can make either a straight cut or an angled cut, however you want with that tool. So it's pretty cool. I know you all have been waiting for me on this one for a long time. So please feel free to ask whatever questions you want down in the comment section, and I'll try to answer them the best that I can. If you're gonna ask me about price, you gotta call SCM for the price, because every option is different on the thing and how you want it is completely different. So, you know, you just not an easy way to tell you what this costs. So call SCM and they'll help you with that. Figure I'd give you a little B-roll stuff here. So they've kind of redesigned this so it's flush now. It used to have a raised area that I think maybe this is easier so you don't hit it. When you open it up, you can see that they've got both you know, centimeters and inches there labeled. This piece right here is there to support the wood when it's out at a distance, whether or not you're using the front side or the back side. And then, like I was showing before, you can kind of see just everything is so well done. The handle to move it. Then this is the angle. You can see these two stops are the same. They're just reversed, and they have the adjustment on them for like making minor adjustments. I do not know what that is for yet, but I will find out. And then, as normal, you can see that's where you would put that zero clearance for too. All of the different connections. This is a battery. They're C batteries that you replace all these batteries with. They're supposed to last about a half a year, so we'll see. And then, you know, everything is really well finished. You know, the screen arms, you know, work well. See on the bottom, that's even a filler strip that goes along the ground. Same way as on my last L'invincible. Just a finishing touch. This is metal, and then like some kind of a impregnated plastic handle there, but very nice. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, like it. If you wanna watch more, subscribe. And yeah, see you on the next one.